Doesn't that get you just a little bit fired up, boys, as we are almost through an entire week 3 of Friday Night Football in the Lone Star State. It's Whataburger Friday Night Stars, powered by Game On Sports. We're live from the Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters, and, of course, the Ford Center just across the way, alongside the great Hekma Harrison, greater Zach Wolchuk, and the greatest Eric Chiofalo.
I like that.
Maybe not in order, but we'll see. Just playing around with it. I'm Kyle Youmans, and we are Friday Night Stars. This is our 3rd episode, and, well, it's our 2nd episode with a little bit of rain to kind of work around. It's okay. High school football still happens, even with the rain falling down. Some of those games canceled, postponed, and whatnot. We'll let you know which ones, but we're also going to run through some of the best scores throughout the entire district and the entire Metroplex area, starting with 6A. 6A had some top-notch games early on. Looked like Allen and Coppell could have been a good game. Cedar Hill, Mesquite, Horn. Zach, 6A, tell us what's running down with the biggest boys.
All right, so Mansfield and Mansfield Legacy, this game kicked off at 6. They got to jump ahead of the rain. Mansfield, the Tigers, getting a win 14-7 over Legacy, a game not a lot of people might have circled down that Mansfield could win that one. No Jalen Catalan. That will be the story moving forward for Legacy. They fall in that one 14-7. Across town, Lake Ridge and Timberview getting it going. That one was close. Back and forth ping-pong affair. Mansfield Lake Ridge 36-31. They get that win. Allen and Coppell, we got an update earlier on in this show before overtime started from Ashley Pickle, who was covering this game out there. That one called a little into the 3rd quarter due to the rain, unfortunately, but Allen was all over Coppell in this one. 21-0. They had the lead. We'll find out if that one actually gets called a win or what that will be, but it didn't seem like either coaching staff really minded that much. Cedar Hill up 32-6 on Mesquite Horn. Mesquite Horn continues to struggle with that 3 star-studded lineup that they started with to open the season with Allen, Highland Park, and Cedar Hill. Prosper up big, 52-14. At one point, it looked like Flower Mound might come back in this game. Prosper slamming the door, 15-14. They're up big, 13-6. Northwest Eaton and Garland Naaman Forest, a game that we talked about earlier. 2 really good running backs for Eaton, guys. They can do it from out of the backfield, between the line of scrimmage, whatever you want to do. That game, 13-6. They ended up calling the eye on one, I believe, in the 3rd quarter, but Eaton gets the victory there. Keller, Fossil Ridge, and Hebron. This is another game. We did a predictions to start. Very, very close. 23-17. Keller, Fossil Ridge is up in this one towards the end of the 3rd quarter. So a lot of football left to go in that one. So for Hebron, they've got some chance.
That's one of the funnest games this week. I mean, of the whole slate, that was really one of the games we looked at and pretty excited about.
It was a very evenly matched game. 2 really good receivers duking it out in that one on both sides of the ball. Irving Nimitz, 58-7. They roll past Carrollton Creekview. Little Elm, 31-13. They get the victory over Keller Central. Keller, Timber Creek, and West Mesquite. This one, high-flying barn burner, 35-all. Near the end of the 3rd quarter. That one's going to be close. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Kimball and Irving. Kimball gets the win 42-22. Mesquite. Plano West is going to have to wait another week to break that streak of consecutive losses. 44-20. The Skeeters are up big right now on the Wolves. 17-14. One of the premier matchups of the evening. South Lake Carroll up on Odessa Permian. Permian apparently just had a long touchdown. Hopefully we can get something from that.
I have something for you right now.
There we go. All right.
Mr. TJ McDaniel.
Oh, is he striking again?
90 yards, house call, gentlemen, for his 3rd rushing touchdown of the night. That makes it 24-14. Carroll's up with just over 4 minutes left in that game.
TJ is strong like bull.
Yeah. My gosh.
232 yards rushing. That's 17.8 yards per attempt.
Who had him
3
on
touchdowns.
their high school
3
football
touchdowns.
fantasy team?
I did.
I mean, he's carrying people to the end zone,
That's
basically.
Unbelievable.
Big
Plano and Rowlett. Rowlett is up 17-10 on Plano. Plano's struggling right now. Plano East in Saxe, another game. Saxe 0-2. Plano East 2-0. Thought something might have to give Saxe a pretty good club. 22-7. The Plano East Panthers are up on Saxe on the road right now.
Look at that.
It's a big win for Coach Joey McCullough and that program if that continues.
And you mentioned Plano East as a team that might be able to give Allen a little bit of competition within that district, and they're beating up on a Saxe team who, even though they're 0-2, we can all acknowledge is a good football team. And you might be right about Plano East.
Yeah, that's another team, Saxe, who's played a tough non-district schedule. And for Plano East, led by Brandon Mallory, they've got a lot of weapons at receiver, solid run game. They've got an athletic defense, certainly could present some problems moving forward. Richardson, Pierce, J.J. Pierce, 31-14. They're up on McKinney in the fourth quarter of that one. Trophy Club, Byron Nelson, and the Colony. A game we all picked. Clean sweep. Thought the Colony would just had too much in this one. They do. 42-24. They are up on Trophy Club, Byron Nelson late in the fourth quarter. That one is almost a final. Denton Geyer. We've talked about Denton Geyer. Haven't really talked about them much tonight. We've talked about them in previous weeks. They started the season 0-2, 45-28. Coach John Walsh gets in the win column. They beat North Crowley. Flower Mound Marcus and Waxahachie, another game we've kind of been looking at. 21-7. Wax goes down. Flower Mound Marcus with the victory there. Justin Dinka, outstanding game, 160 yards and a touchdown for him. Richardson up 14-13 on Garland. Garland Lakeview Centennial, 23-0, shutting out Richardson Berkner right now late in that third quarter. We have a 31-10 score as this thing goes ahead and does its deal tonight. It's just been, we've just got so much coming in. 31-10, LD Bell over Irving MacArthur. That's another final. That's a big win for LD Bell. They had struggled earlier in this year. They started 0-2. Big win to get a victory on Irving. Matt Keller, 43-0 on Grand Prairie. Lake Highlands and Holtham. This is a game that went back and forth. Lake Highlands had the lead early in it. Holtham came back, 37-28. They get the victory. Richland, 21-7, leading Rockwall Heath. South Grand Prairie and Lancaster finally underway, tied at 7. I don't know what they're going to do with this one. Weather continues to be a factor. We will see moving forward, but this one's 7-all between those two clubs. Dallas Carter, 26-9. They beat W.T. White. Birdville, 42-20 on Weatherford, and it is a final. Jesuit has defeated Wiley, 35-14. Kevin Schumann, 267 yards, a touchdown through the air. Also, 40 yards rushing and a touchdown as well.
What about my boy E.J. Smith?
E.J. Smith, man, I'll tell you what. I don't have anything on him right now, but I will get back to you on that in just a second because we got to see, did he end up with more catches than rushing attempts? That's kind of been the story with E.J. Smith, especially with how well Kevin Schumann did in this one. And it's interesting to me because I didn't ever think of Schumann necessarily as a runner. Tonight,
doing it on the ground.
40 yards rushing. So for E.J. Smith, he did finish with more carries than catches. He didn't update that reception total. Finished with 5 catches for 76 yards. 11 carries, 24 yards, a touchdown.
Man, I wonder what's going on with that rushing attack. It seems to me like
they shut him down a little bit once they got a big lead, probably. But I think when we get into district play here in the next coming weeks, you'll start to see those mega E.J. Smith stat lines that we've come to expect.
I can't wait for that.
I don't think it's going to take very long for E.J. Smith to put up some points here in just a little bit. They might, like you said, might be saving him. Try and take a little bit of the time off, or a couple of the hits off of the body heading into district play.
Can you imagine kids getting psyched up for a game to play against E.J. Smith?
You want to hit that guy.
Exactly.
And then in the third quarter, you realize, I don't want to hit him.
Exactly. He's got a target on his back from day one.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's probably a part of the plan. Hey, let's shut him down early, get a lead, get some film on him, get people an opportunity to see him scheme some certain things that the coach wants to see. I don't think he played any receiver at all last year. So this is a whole nother wrinkle to their offense going into district play.
Yeah, and 75 yards receiving for him, that's awesome. If you're not going to do it on the ground, at least you're doing it in the air. Shows the kind of player he is.
Definitely the versatility.
And Jesuit finally playing some defense. Only gave up 14 points. We've seen them give up a lot of points, a lot of yards in the first couple of games, but good for their defense finally showing up.
Yeah, Wiley at quarterback, they're struggling a little bit, but they do have an outstanding receiver in Donovan Ollie. So a good note for Ranger fans. Their secondary seems to be playing better.
So that'll be it for the 6A rundown, at least for now. We'll talk about some of those games as they update, but I do want to give you a final score from 5A before Eric gets into the rest of the 5A scores. This is a team that I've kind of had as a sleeper pick over the last couple of years. I'm not saying they're going to win state or anything, but they are going to make some noise in their district. The Lovejoy Leopards. I'll tell you what they did today against Frisco Memorial. Put up 74 points.
Wow.
74-13 was the final score.
Dang.
They had 35 points in the first quarter.
Okay, so that was not wrong. Whenever we went through the updates earlier, I was like, 35 points in the first quarter. There might be an error here. I guess not.
That was real.
Carson Collins went 18 of 14 passing, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They also had James Boyd, 10 attempts, 114 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Also, Michael DeFori, a touchdown on 9 attempts, and another touchdown for R.W. Rucker. So
Man,
that Lovejoy offense can put up some points. I got a chance to call a game last year with Carson Collins. That's a guy who's been a starter at Lovejoy for 3 years now, and he knows how to sling the football. He can sling it.
It was one of those programs a lot like Prosper, where you're starting to get a lot more people moving in there. You're getting more talent. They've got the facilities, no doubt about it. They're an up-and-coming community. Those are the kind of programs where you look to them to start to become on the up and up now. Yeah. Like Allen, 20 years ago, Allen was not what they are, and now they're the premier high school football team in the state. One of the best in the country. So you look for Prosper, you look for Lovejoy. These are kind of teams that are coming up, and in a few years, they'll be talked about as a perennial power.
Same thing that's happening in Frisco. Same thing that happened in Mansfield. Just all of a sudden, out of the blue, you have all of this kind of a migration of athletic talent in these areas.
Yeah, and that's a Memorial team also. The Frisco Memorial is a first-year program. So Lovejoy might be taking advantage of that a little bit. But overall, that's
a little bit.
That's still, a little bit. 74 points worth. But overall, that's still a
Just
game.
a little bit.
That's a game that that Lovejoy kind of showed they flex their muscles a little bit, firepower on that offensive side. Eric, start running through some of these 5A games, but I will have an update here in just a moment. I'll interrupt you when I'm ready.
All right, you can interrupt me whenever you need to.
Good.
Everman 7-0. They beat Arlington Seguin. Mansfield Legacy loses 7-14 to Mansfield. Mansfield Timberview 31-36. They fall to Mansfield Lakeridge. Denton Broswell over Frisco 14-6. They're still in the first quarter. That means that must have been a major rain delay, potentially a cancellation there. We do have a final. Frisco Independence over Denton 42-18. Frisco Lebanon Trail falls 41-14 to Denison. Frisco Reedy, I picked them. I was the only one to pick them over Lake Dallas. And guess
After
what,
you
gentlemen?
saw the score.
35-14. 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It looks like Reedy's taking that one. Irving Nimitz put it on Carrollton Creekview 58-7. Keller Central falls to Little Elm 31-13. Keller Timber Creek is down 6 points right now to let's see who it was they were playing. West Mesquite. They're in the fourth quarter right now. It's been a back and forth game all game. West Mesquite just took the lead, so that'll be a fun fourth quarter finish there. And then we got Kimball over Irving, 42-22. As we mentioned, Lovejoy 74 put it on Frisco Memorial 74-13. Red Oak right here at the Ford Center, right there in our backyard. Red Oak beats Frisco Heritage 41-14. Trophy Club Byron Nelson loses 24-42 over the Colony. And then let's see here. Carrollton Ranch View is up 20-7 over Spruce. There's a little bit left in the third quarter there. Hillcrest over Conrad 25-6. The fourth quarter just got started there. And then let's see what else we got here. Frisco Centennial falls big 35-3 to Bishop Lynch. And then Kaufman put it on Ennis pretty bad, 37-7. That's a final. And Midlothian beat Joshua. Sorry, it just updated on me again. Shoot.
Gotta love it.
Where'd it go?
All of that information popping in at one point.
By the way, 30-17 now. Keller Foster Ridge is up on Hebron.
Okay,
and Foster Ridge still with the football. So Hebron keep coughing it up.
Midlothian 48 over Joshua 30. North Forney 35 over Forney 35-20. And then we got Roosevelt losing to Adamson right now in the third quarter, 40-24. South Grand Prairie, they are in overtime now with Lancaster. That's a 7-7 tie ball game. That's been a defensive battle from what we can tell. Birdville up 42-26 over Weatherford. That's in the third quarter. Also in the third quarter is Woodrow Wilson up 26-6 on Wiley East. And that does it for the 5A scores.
5A scores definitely taking you take a lot of those with some of those big time programs in 5A and look at them and you're surprised. Also, some of the games from last night from 5A, we talked earlier about Highland Park and Lone Star. That game, an outstanding game. Zach, you got a chance to go to that game. 10-7 final score, HP over Lone Star.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a back and forth game. Defenses really ruled the day. A couple of block kicks. The special teams stepped up and played. Lone Star's got a heck of a defense. They play that 3-4. But they're able to match up with spreads. We were just talking about that Hekma and I off here. Hekma's guy, Pittman, unbelievable the size this guy possesses. Really big, long frame, a guy that could probably play with his hand in the ground, be a defensive end when he gets to the upper level. But as of right now, play him at safety, play him at corner, play him at defensive line. The dude is a freak, but Chandler Morris and Highland Park just finding a way to get it done.
They're 3-0 after facing three really good teams: Rockwall, Mesquite Horn, and then
Lone Star is
like
a
you
team.
said, Lone Star.
Lone Star is a team we got to put an asterisk next to and look at through the season.
Oh no, that's a great team.
They're going to give some people some challenges for sure.
They definitely will. One team that's giving another team a challenge is Odessa Permian. We've got an update from that game. South Lake Carroll was up early in this ball game, but how about Odessa Permian? They've put up 20 points in the fourth quarter, including this touchdown run to make it a one-score game. QB draw, Peyton Powell, 23-yard run, escapes the entire Dragon defense, diving toward the end zone. He gets in. It's a 24-20 ball game. We've got a minute and 30 seconds left. Odessa Permian, who at one point was out of this game, respectively, they're right back in it, and they've also got South Lake Carroll on a 4th and 4 about to come. They're going to get the ball back with a chance to win.
Well, right after that touchdown, the extra point's no good because South Lake blocks it. So now that makes it you got to get a touchdown if you're Permian.
It's a huge
it's a huge block there for South Lake. Yeah, just under 2 minutes, and we'll see if Permian can drive down and get the game-winning touchdown.
Now, Kyle, you were saying something earlier about the delays and all. This is another game that was affected by multiple delays, halftime and all of that, making adjustments. And so that's just a coaching thing, being able to come back and say, hey, this is not working for us. Bring your guys down. Let's stop this. And so that may be what's affecting this game as well.
Yeah, and I believe we have some updated stats on this game as well we'll look at here just a little bit because this is a highlighted game. These are two big programs that we've looked at all night long. And
about that mojo.
They've been really even throughout. You look at total yards, first downs, 16 first downs to 14 in favor of Odessa Permian. Total yards, 383 to 378. And then overall, the completion percentage, the passing yards, the rushing yards, South Lake is dominating the rushing game, 278 yards on the ground. But overall, Odessa Permian, even a team like you said, Zach, who at least on the film that we saw in the background from Nick Laupius, I can't wait to get his thoughts on this ball game. But that's a team that didn't necessarily look like the size was there in terms of really any of the players that at least we saw in the background. But some other games that were going on, you mentioned this one, Eric actually just mentioned this one a minute ago. Frisco Independence over Denton. And right now we've got Grayson Nolette on the phone. Grayson was on the call for that ball game. It's the game of the week for Denton ISD on KNTU 88.1 FM. And Grayson, first off, Frisco Independence put up some big-time numbers. What did you see from the Knights in this ball game?
Well, the Knights and the Broncos alike, neither one of them played a perfect or even a great football game, in my opinion. There were a ton of mistakes, tons of turnovers and miscommunications that went on the field on both sides tonight. I just think that the Knights honestly went out there and they took a lot more risks. They took a lot more shots downfield. They ran more trick plays. They utilized their strengths and their best players a lot more efficiently than Denton High did, and that was the main thing I saw tonight.
Grayson, Zach here. What's going on with this Denton Bronco offense right now? Landry Kinney, obviously a sophomore quarterback, but it seemed like he ran the ball a lot more tonight. I know Coach Miller and company wanted to try and get Xylon Posey more involved. How's this offense looking?
It was really bizarre because you're absolutely right. Head coach Billy Miller did talk to the Den Record Chronicle this weekend, was talking to them about how he really did want to get Posey more involved in the offense in this game specifically before district play comes around and they got to face Denton Ryan here in the near future. But Posey, he has one really big touchdown in the first quarter, and then the dude basically doesn't touch the ball for almost the rest of the game. They even had their backup Latravius Bryce get double-digit carries instead of Posey just being the workhorse that supposedly Billy Miller wants him to be. So, and then in the meantime, Landry Kinney, again, he was having a lot of miscommunications with his center tonight. There were tons of missed snaps, high snaps that were going way over his head, and he was just not comfortable at any point tonight at that quarterback position. So right now, Coach Billy Miller, I don't know what he's doing, honestly. He says he wants to use Posey, but he's not giving him a majority of the workload, and then he's not even really allowing Landry Kinney to go out there and just make some plays. I feel like Coach Miller is playing it way too safe right now with this Den High offense. He needs to start taking a little bit more risk and start taking more shots down the field and trusting his best players.
Well, what was with all the turnovers for Denton tonight? You talk about their offense being pretty out of sync. 4 turnovers. Is that sloppy play? Is that interceptions? What was the deal with that?
One of them was a really bad interception by Landry Kinney. 2 of them, I think, were actually interceptions by Landry Kinney. One of them, I remember specifically, was just a total duck of a pass that he should have thrown away, and it was just easily intercepted by Independence on that specific play. And then early on, like I said, he was having some really bad miscommunications with his center. He actually had multiple centers to deal with tonight that they were trying to sub in and out, as none of them were really able to just stay consistent. So one of the turnovers they had was a missed snap that just went straight over Kinney's head, and he wasn't able to even recover it. The defense just recovered the fumble on a bad snap. So a couple of those interceptions were definitely Kinney's fault. And then a lot of miscommunications between him and his center specifically caused a majority of the woes for Den High tonight in terms of their turnovers.
42-18, Frisco Independence over Denton in tonight's ball game. Grayson, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Absolutely. No problem, guys.
Yeah, there he goes. Grayson Nolette on the call is, once again, Frisco Independence takes down the Denton Broncos. You see the score right there, 42-18. 299 total yards for Independence. Those turnovers, though, really biting Denton in the backside whenever that came to fruition. So back to that South Lake Carroll-Odessa Permian matchup. I've got some live play-by-play updates. 24-20, score remains the same. However, Odessa Permian is driving, boys. They're on the 33-yard line with some time remaining on the clock, 2nd and 10, and they are really kind of rolling right now with the passing game. Peyton Powell, who we showed that clip of just a moment ago, who ran it in for a touchdown his last time out, he has been really just on point throughout the rest of the drive, and they're passing the ball, spreading it out, and they're trying to get past South Lake Carroll on the road. What a big win this would be for Odessa Permian.
Hey, and let's not just focus on their offense right now. Their defense had to come up with some key stops against a really, really talented South Lake offense, and they've done so late in this football game.
Didn't look good for them early. They looked like they were being ran out of the stadium, but not so much anymore.
Not so much.
Star of the night still, though, is TJ McDaniel. 3 touchdowns, 233 yards rushing. One of those was a 90-yard touchdown. No, star of the night.
Oh, star of the night. Star of the night.
Star of the week is still my guy Tim over there at Grapevine.
Yeah, that's true. Tim did have a big-time game, and we'll give our stars in the night here in just a little bit. But, man, Odessa Permian on the road trying to take down South Lake Carroll. It's getting to that point. And, I mean, if you're looking at Odessa Permian and Mojo right now, the fact that, like you said, that defense shut down TJ McDaniel, what's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest strengths of having a great running back and a great running game?
Time management.
Being able to run out the clock.
Close it out.
And close the game.
Yeah. That was a championship kind of drive by Trinity. You got a team that's coming back on you. You say, not so fast. We're going to close the door down. We're going to eat this clock, and we're going to run our way to the victory. South Lake Carroll hadn't been able to do that tonight. TJ McDaniels had great stat line, had the big plays. Could it be that the big plays come back to bite the Dragons in the tush?
We've got an update.
Final?
It did not come back to bite them. South Lake Carroll able to shut down Odessa Permian. The clock just ran out on Odessa on that final drive. They were driving, but it does end up going in favor of South Lake Carroll. We're running out of time, so we might not get Nick Laupius on today, but what a game that was.
I mean, 2-story programs basically with South Lake and Odessa Premium. So I mean, this won't be the end that we hear of the Mojo.
No,
I mean these guys will definitely. They always seem to appear at every semifinals. They're just there.
And they play 2 DFW schools that should make deep playoff runs very closely. When you look at DeSoto week 1, I think they lost by 10.
Right.
And then now coming up here to play South Lake Carroll. So good showings overall.
Look at those yards though, man. Again, 800 yards in offense. Nobody stopped anyone.
How about that?
South Lake ran the ball great, and that was really who's going to run the ball better. 2 teams that really do like to run the ball. Neither team, really stifled the run, but South Lake with almost 100 yards more rushing, that's really going to do it for them, and that is all accounted for basically in the 90-yard touchdown run that TJ McDaniel had, really to ice the game there at the end.
Yeah, and with that being said, I do want to get in some of those other scores. Hekma, give us the rest of the rundown on the Metroplex in terms of what's going on in those 4A and lower end games as well.
My pleasure, sir. So I have Argyle versus Tyler Chapel Hill, and my man Bo Hugaboom went off.
What a name.
Yeah. Bo Hugaboom.
Bo Hugaboom. He dropping dimes, 297 yards in the air, 6 touchdowns.
Wow.
6 touchdowns. He went completely off, man. His and my system refreshes right in the middle of that, but that's okay. His leading receiver, David Carter, 6 receptions, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, a grown man game. Also, Arbery got smoked by Pilot Point, 34-0. It wasn't even close, not even a game. Bridgeport, 24-17 over Sanger. Argyle Liberty Christian, again, 21-0 over Brock. No one thought that was going to happen, but it did. Carrollton Ranchview, 20 points, scored 20 points to Spruce's 7. And another game that isn't even close. It's 4 minutes and 53 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Hillcrest 32-6 over Conrad. Also, Midlothian Heritage in the final 56-21. Again, a whooping, not even close. Salina, another program that that's been around for a very long time and winning state championships. Kind of regressing here, not doing very well in their game. They're losing. They lost. Come on, computer, don't do this to me now.
Kenny Chesney would not be happy about that loss.
Shouldn't be. Fort Worth Nolan beat Salina 33-17. Life Waxahachie. Close but no cigar. Kemp beat them 33-28. Kennedale is 42-40 over Alvarado. That was a pretty good game. And also, guys, most of these matchups are from, this is another Friday one. Crandall 40-3 over Parish North Lamar. Adamson 42-32 over Roosevelt and Battle of Oak Cliff. David W. Carter beat W.T. White 32-9. And guys, from the Thursday games, we had North Dallas beat Fort Worth Carter Riverside, and also Fort Worth Western Hills beat Carrollton R.L. Turner 23-7. And obviously the South Oak Cliff game over Wilma Hutchinson, which was a blowout 56-20. Coach Jason Todd and the Sock Golden Bears are now 2-0. They didn't finish the game last week versus Duncanville because of the rain delays. And
that's
going to be the 4A highlights for you guys.
That's going to be a good game next week with South Oak Cliff and Red Oak. That's a Red Oak team that won just at the Ford Center
Red Oak good
tonight, and they're 3-0. South Oak Cliff, like you said, undefeated as well. So, couple big time games coming up next weekend. We'll run down some of those games for you.
Quick update on Plano Rowlett. Tied at 17, under 2 minutes to play. Plano has the ball. Looks like they're going to end up having to punt, though. This game might be destined for overtime.
Oh, there you go.
Now, Rowlett, they lost last week to Rockwall?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Well, actually, that game I don't think was played. So
that's right. They canceled it.
They had to cancel that game.
Well, the music is coming in, which means overtime is no more. If you want to catch up to everything that's going on in terms of high school football in the Metroplex area, be sure to follow us on Friday_stars on Twitter. We'll continue our content on there. But as terms of the show, do want to thank everybody involved with Fred Garner, Chris Beam in studio, also Zach Shelton in there as well. Harrison Hekma, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiofalo. I'm Kyle Youmans. There's the final play. South Lake Carroll taking down Odessa Permian 24-20. We'll see you next week.